Hello everybody. So in today's video, I want to quickly discuss the HIMS stock bounce back. It's up 11% today on a new higher, or at least that's the only visible piece of news. And today, of course, I want to discuss that higher because it's clear that HIMS is taking a route of customer centricity. This hire was actually a big deal for HIMS because she was instrumental in building Robinhood, and especially building the Robinhood program. And so now she's going to be hopefully doing something similar at HIMS. New word that I love from Andrew Dudum. I always talk about customer centricity on this channel. Customer obsession. I'm definitely getting Amazon vibes on here. Customer obsession. It's all about using technology. She's been instrumental in how her understanding of technology helps shape customer behavior. Of course, if you know Robinhood, if you use Robinhood Gold, you know how good of a product that is, how good of a membership that is. You know what? You have Amazon Prime membership, you have Costco membership, you have Robinhood Gold membership. I think give it a few years, people are not going to be able to live without Robinhood Gold because it gives you all of these benefits that really make the product irreplaceable. And that's really how 0 to 1 businesses work in this century, in this era. It's all about the use of AI. She wants to develop AI and use AI across the different offerings. And we know the Tribe acquisition at HIMS has been a big deal. That's going to be at-home testing. They're not even using the LabCorps of the world for their labs. They're going to be doing everything remote. And so in order to do that, you're going to need technology. You're going to need AI. You're going to need UI and UX. Very important. I'll get to that in a second. User interface. HIMS's user interface is outstanding, and that's so different from a lot of the insurance companies. Like, ever used, I don't know, my insurance is Blue Cross Blue Shield. Ever used Blue Cross Blue Shield? It's ridiculous. You need to have a degree just to be able to use that website. That's how poorly these websites are designed. So to me, a lot of a traditional healthcare is not going to stand a shot if you are hiring as your chief product officer someone who was as instrumental to Robinhood as she was for 5 years. Very interesting. I always want to spend some time, reading whether people spend a lot of time walking or whether they spend a lot of time on Twitter. You'll note that this is one of the least active Twitter accounts that I've seen, X accounts that I've seen. And as a result of that, I'm sure this is going to be a very hard-working person joining the team, and, probably a big loss for Robinhood, probably a great win for HIMS. Hopefully, HIMS pays her well. What do they talk about? So they talk about creating a product. She's joining as the chief product officer, right? So moving up into the rank. Really, HIMS is starting to look like an elite company. We have a chief operating officer. We have a chief product officer. So what she's going to be doing is working on the consumer products, talking about trust, talking about creating value, and talking about scale. Creating value, creating trust. Trust is essential for any business, but especially in healthcare. And talking about scale. And here you see, again, at-home diagnostic. So we knew at-home diagnostic was going to be a big deal of that new offering. One thing I didn't realize or know is the coaching model. So are we going to have an AI health coach? Is there going to be an AI health coach in HIMS? Hopefully it's not a human coach, because that's not very good for margins. But hopefully there's some sort of AI coach that can be put in place to help people with their health and their healthcare in general, and personalization. Personalization, at-home diagnostics, and coach. This is going to be a big part of the product system, of a product business. I'll go into the end of the video as to whether we're going to have a HIMS Gold. Are we going to have a HIMS membership? Something of a no-brainer. But before I do that, so Dirja, great addition to the team. She's equally good of an hire, in my view, as to the hire that they picked from Amazon. Their COO actually was out hired from Amazon, so they kind of quote unquote stole the COO of Amazon. Now they're stealing the chief, one of the instrumental persons at Robinhood. Anyways, I remember. Let me go back to this. So Can HIMS be as good as Robinhood? And of course, why do we want HIMS to be as good as Robinhood? Right? Look at the returns. Look at the returns of Robinhood over the past year. It's not quite a 3x, but almost a 3x. Robinhood has returned just as good as Palantir recently. HIMS has stopped catching up to Robinhood, but it's my third biggest position. I think HIMS will be one of these special companies like Palantir, like Robinhood. But HIMS, let's talk about HIMS. First of all, before I go into the Robinhood story, a lot of the comments that I get in my comment section about the GLP-1 is, they're doing it wrong. Oh, get ready for something bad is going to happen. A lot of the FUD, the usual FUD against teams. Oh, they're not following standards of care, etc. Well, I fundamentally believe they are. Otherwise, I wouldn't be investing in this company. I wouldn't be investing in a healthcare company who, was lenient with the quality of their care, lenient with the hiring of their providers. Keep in mind that HIMS has independent providers making the decisions. It's a human in the loop. There's a human in the loop. It's not yet an AI who makes all of the decisions, even though I feel at one point it will be an AI, but it's not yet there. Regulations are followed to a T. It's humans who make these prescriptions. But a lot of you in the comment section, especially when the stock is down, I get more of these comments when the stock is down. You tell me, oh, lawsuit incoming, oh, FDA is going to ban telehealth, all of that sort of stuff. And I want to point out that even if that were to happen, I don't think that would be a problem for HIMS, because Robinhood, and I remember buying Robinhood, I think at $11 or $12. I still have a Robinhood position. Robinhood has survived and really overdone and over-succeeded since the major scandal of GameStop. More than a year ago when I was covering this stock, maybe 2 years ago now, many people were saying, oh, I will never touch Robinhood because of GameStop. Robinhood overcame GameStop. They even had a movie about it. I mean, that's the whole thing. So the point I'm trying to say is that in many ways, creating that absolutely wonderful product at HIMS is going to be easier to do than doing it at Robinhood, who has been through a absolute backlash 4 to 3 years ago now. And so that's the point number one. So hopefully we never have any scandal like GameStop at Robinhood at HIMS, but they were able to build Robinhood Gold, and they were able to create one of an outstanding comeback story at Robinhood, and she was part of a team. Dirja was part of that team. The fact that they were able to do that, and the fact that she is now joining HIMS, tells me it may be easier to do this at HIMS without such headwinds. Or, said otherwise, the GLP-1 headwinds might be a minor headwind for her and what she had to go through at HIMS with this madness of people selling the stock and people leaving Robinhood in droves, etc., etc., etc. So, point number one. Point number two, let's talk about the Robinhood product versus the HIMS product, and how could the HIMS product maybe resemble the Robinhood product, and she's going to be the chief product officer. So I want to compare the Robinhood product to the HIMS product. So, and of course, Robinhood, in my view, is the winning broker of the United States. It is going to be the winning broker. It's already well on its way. The assets under management have been growing through the roof. To me, Robinhood is entirely going to be the broker of the future. It's going to be the winning broker. It's kind of like, what Schwab was in the 1990s. Robinhood is going to be in the 2020s and the 2030s. What does Robinhood add? Best UI and user experience. User experience at Robinhood is second to none. Believe me, because I want to buy some companies like BioStem or MetaPlanet, I've had to go through Schwab's UI to do that. It is absolutely awful. Some of the prompts that you get look like they were coded in COBOL in the 1960s, and those prompts hurt because it's about those $50 fees that you have whenever you want to buy OTC stocks, especially foreign OTC stocks. Hopefully Robinhood needs to add OTC at their product, but anyway, it's just painful to use that interface. I'm not exaggerating. It's painful to use that interface. Robinhood is just such a beautiful interface. So easy to use. And of course, I believe HIMS is gonna be able to have a user interface and a user experience superior to any insurance company. Typically, your main interface that you have with healthcare typically is the one you have with your insurance company. I suggest you go look at your insurance company, whether it's Blue Cross Blue Shield, Humana, United Health. Go look, go see what it looks like, and go tell me the UI is similar to HIMS. There's 2 or 3 decades of coding. Well, let's call it 2. There's 2 decades of difference in the quality of the UI, the quality of the coding. And of course, we are customer-centric firms. As a customer-centric firms, the product needs to satisfy. The product needs to be easy to use, it needs to be fun to use. All of these things matter, and they matter a lot. I think one of the even worst interface I've seen in brokers is Vanguard. Try to go to the Vanguard interface. It's so painful. So painful. So UI and UX matter a lot to the product. There is this very well-known phenomenon called the "what is beautiful is good" phenomenon, which, explains why people are more likely to choose a product over another. Well, actually, guess what? The looks of the product play a major role, and they especially play a role in a digital environment where really you don't have physical look. You only have user experience and user interface as to why someone uses something. So that's point number 1, and I think she's going to bring a lot of that to HIMS. If the UI increases of the HIMS product, the UI of the HIMS product increases, that's going to be creating a more sticky customer. And of course, they kind of have a blue ocean there, because it's not like the competition has good UI. It doesn't. Point number 2, all-in-one. And so this is something that I think we could see for HIMS. HIMS, of course, is an all-in-one business. It's vertically integrated. It has the doc visits, the meds, the labs, the education, the follow-ups, the nutrition, right, with the bars and the shakes. A lot of you in the comment section made fun about them launching bars and shakes. Well, I guess that's part of the business, right? If you're going to be selling a weight loss product, maybe you can help out by doing shakes and doing things that are proper to help you lose weight. One thing I could have added in there, of course, in the all-in-one is they do the role of a Teva Pharmaceuticals in that they make their own generics too, and they compound their own drugs. So they also do the role of a mini pharma company. That's vertically integrated. That's everything under one roof. That's all-in-one for HIMS. Robinhood was like that too. You keep seeing the announcement on Robinhood. Recently, the private banking announcement. You have the advisor announcement. So private banking, advisor, credit card, retirement, crypto, trading platform, soon mortgages. When I look at a Robinhood, that's kind of sad. I mean, I own SoFi too, but I see Robinhood executing on the SoFi vision. Hopefully I don't get any bad comments in the comment section, but Robinhood is executing and entering a lot of the categories that SoFi has entered into, and really becoming this one-stop shop. And they never, ever, ever stopped crypto, right? Which was the most high demand product of the customers. And so you could make a parallel with that with HIMS. HIMS is not stopping GLP-1. It's one of the hottest products right now in healthcare. It's one of the hottest prescription medications in healthcare. If you don't have it, how can you be a one-stop shop for low to medium healthcare areas? So all-in-one. That's Robinhood, and that's HIMS, right? And what's the third thing? Well, the third thing for a winning product today in the 21st century is you gotta be the cheapest. You have to be 0 to 1. You have to be the best and the cheapest. So superior UI, all-in-one. Speedy visits. You see a prescriber right away, sent through the mail. You don't have to go into the drive-thru at CVS and yell your last name out for everybody to hear that you're picking up a medication. No use of insurance, so you have certainty of pricing up front. You know exactly up front how much it's going to cost. You don't have any bad surprises. So you have all of that. But of course, one of the key to 0 to 1 are these natural monopolies, these businesses that win, is when you are also the cheapest. You're not only the best, you're also the cheapest, right? This is something that if you ever read former MBA's favorite book, Michael Porter's Competitive Strategy, they didn't envision that. They didn't think you could have a business that could be the best and also the cheapest, the high quality differentiator, which is also the cheapest. And so this is going to be the direction of HIMS. This is definitely already the direction of what Robinhood is in, right? Robinhood has the lowest margin rates in general, right? I know that on Interactive Broker, if you have I think it's more than 500,000 or something, you get to save a couple points. But in general, it has the lowest margin rates. It's got no fees, right? I know there's the spreads. I know in some places the spreads are a little better, as people remind you all the time. Like Tasty Trade, for example, is one that is often brought up about the spreads. But if you place an order, you place an order at the end of the day. So they have no fees. It's a big deal. The best credit card reward, 3% flat. I know there is a wait list. I know, I was very lucky. I had the 3% cashback credit card with Robinhood almost right away as soon as they released it. But I know there's a huge wait list. It's a wonderful thing that there's a wait list. That tells you that everybody wants that card because it is the best card. It's 3% cash back on everything, and you don't even have to think about it. It's just 3% cash back, and I've been using that card a lot. It's much more than that. It's actually a very, very innovative card where you can do one-time use cards. You can generate as many cards as you want. You can generate one card per subscription. So, for example, if you have Netflix, you can generate a Netflix card. You put that card only into Netflix, and you can see when Netflix charged you. There's a notification if Netflix raises the prices, etc., etc. I don't have Netflix as an example. That's just the best product all around. You can buy lounge access for I think $35, something like that. You can buy a lounge access. So instead of paying a $700 annual fee, you can just buy a priority pass one-time lounge access for $35. That's all in that Robinhood credit card. I really believe they have a fundamentally better product than the credit card. And of course, and this is the most important one that Robinhood has, it's a 0-to-1 move like no other. It's the match. The match. They have the IRA and the brokerage account match. Now, granted, it's on and off, right? It's the match is like for a few months, and then they stop it for a few months, and start it again for a few months, and stop it for a few months. But nonetheless, the fact that if you transfer money to Robinhood, they give you between 1% and 3% cash back, depending on the conditions, not cash back, a match. The idea that they created this match without an employer is absolutely disruptive. It's entirely disruptive. And a lot of people have been transferring to Robinhood because if you have $100,000 at Schwab and you transfer it to Robinhood while they have the promo, you get 3% cash back. You get 3% cash deposited into your account from Robinhood. That's the that's revolutionary right there. It's part of the idea that, you don't have to spend as much on marketing, right? You're not Lexus who has to spend $7,000 to try to get someone to buy your car and have to spend $7,000 on CNBC ads to try to get someone to buy your Lexus. They're not doing it like that. What they're doing is that they're just focusing on the product, focusing on making the best product. Because when you make the best product, everybody flocks to you. Everybody flies to you, and sure enough, that's what happens to Robinhoods every quarter whenever they have their 1%, 2% to 3% cashback match on the transfer of the money. And of course, HIMS is the kind of the same. I've said it before. The whole cheaper than copays thing is a real thing. Go look in one of my older videos where I compare the prices. They are cheaper than your copays. In fact, let me tell you one thing. GoodRx, I could make a good case, is cheaper than using your insurance too. If you use regular insurance, if you don't like HIMS, you should always have the GoodRx app installed on your phone, because GoodRx oftentimes is also going to get you cheaper prices. There's nothing dumber than going to buy a medication with your insurance card without having checked before whether GoodRx has a cheaper price. So it's already like that in the system. It's a systemic madness that people, in the US, people go on Gas Buddy. They want to know where the cheapest gas is, right? GoodRx gives you the cheapest pharmacy near you that's going to give you the cheapest cost. So of course HIMS is able to also be cheaper than using your traditional insurance. But that's not that, right? What's another 0-to-1 move? Well, I think a 0-to-1 move for HIMS. I think HIMS has multiple 0-to-1 moves. First of all, bundling the cost of a doctor visit with the prescription. The prescription, you don't only pay for your ED drug. You don't only pay for, your anxiety, your statin, whatever, you don't only pay for the drug, you also pay for the doctor visits and the follow-up all in one price. That's revolutionary. Traditional healthcare, you know how it works. Like traditional healthcare, let's say you go see someone you want. I don't know. Let's say you want an ED medication. I'm taking the standard one. You want an ED medication. Well, oftentimes they're going to refer you to your urologist, and it's going to be the urologist who then gives you maybe a 1 month ED medication, and they want to see you again in 1 month, right? It's very recurring business. It's their family's medical office. The urologist wants to see you again in 1 month, and then maybe if you're lucky, you're gonna get a 6-month prescription. So that's 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 doctor visits to get your ED to get your ED drugs. And so all of those doctor visits, if you have very good insurance, you're gonna have a copay, right? Except for the physical, which is usually free. But all of those insurance companies, they're going to have a copay. Maybe you have access to like 1 doctor visit a month or 2 doctors a visit a month. So anyways, at some point, you're going to have to pay that doctor visit. That's $200. $200 a visit. At some point, you're going to have to do that. The uncertainty is a huge drag on somebody getting care. The uncertainty about the price is a huge drag, especially among Gen Z. They do these studies on plumbers. A plumber has a price range on the website. Another plumber doesn't have a price range. Who do you think gets the phone call? It's the plumber who has the price range on the website. Price uncertainty is a real thing. HIMSS solved for that. That's a 0 to 1 innovation. Another 0 to 1 innovation, of course, is customization. People are unique, and even if you were to make the case that people are not unique, which they totally are, and we all have different needs as far as our medications, our treatments, we all have different needs. But even if you were to make the case of one size fits all, which is what 20th century pharma industry is making this case, right? Oh, it's 500 milligram, or it's a gram. That's the meds for you. So and then the doctor tells you, oh well, why don't you cut it in half? Why don't you take a pill and a half, and then you cut it in half by hand? They even have these pre-cut in the pills where you can cut it in half, right? Sometimes you'll hear doctors say, "Oh, well, you can't have that pill." So what I recommend is that you crush it, and you put it in water. Just crush the pill and put it in water. That's to tell you the extent of traditional healthcare where there is no customization. Like, of course there's customization. Some people are going to prefer to have the medication in the form of gummies. Some people are going to be maxing out on how many pills they take, because maybe they have a number of medium health issues, as I call them, and they don't want to be like Brian Johnson taking 100 pills a day. So they're going to have customization where you have one pill have, say, 10 active ingredients, right? Because by the way, those pills, oftentimes you're having rice starch. Like if you take 10 pills, maybe 50% of those 10 pills is going to be rice starch or some sort of potato starch, because it's an excipient. It's the excipient in the pill. The active ingredient in the pill is a tiny portion. The excipient, that starch, is what the white. That's why most pills are white, or like they're colored. Anyways, I don't know if that makes any sense what I'm saying. In my view, obviously, customization is going to be a huge, huge deal. Even if you think that's not necessary, people like to feel unique. They like to feel unique. YouTube has us hooked because it's a unique page when we log in with our recommendations. Spotify has us hooked. Netflix has people hooked. Netflix even goes to changing the thumbnails, and they show you the thumbnail that you're more likely to click on. TikTok. Customization is the way to go, and that's another 0 to 1 move, which I think healthcare is nowhere near having, and HIMSS is going to have. And sure, just like for Robinhood, there's a few one-offs that are better here and there, but it's not an all-in-one product. Same is true for LifeMD, for HIMSS. Like, you could argue that, I would argue that, say, the primary care option, the primary care, the urgent care visit, primary care visit at LifeMD, I would argue is a slightly better product. But there's also an edge case, and it's not going to be most people, and it's not all-in-one platform. And, it's just a matter of HIMSS adding, say, an urgent care product or an urgent care doctor visit in there. This is something they could have in a subscription. They could create a yearly subscription, a HIMSS Gold, and they would be like, oh, with HIMSS Gold, you say you get free distance urgent care visit, free distance urgent care visit. There's platforms that do urgent care remotely, right? Best example of that is I don't know, your insurance, for example, may have a poison center where you call and you say, this is what happened, I ate this thing, is it poison? And then they look it up in the database. There's a lot of things they could do. There's a lot of things they could do remotely. So are we getting close to a hims and hers gold? Well, I think it's a good idea. It could lock in subscribers for good. The keyword here, of course, is customer obsessed. This company is customer obsessed, and if you want to create a subscription or a yearly membership, just like Costco, just like Amazon, you just have to offer ridiculous benefits. You just have to be customer obsessed. Your customers, they're really members. They're members of your team. They're part of a team, and you have to offer them crazy benefits. This is I know I remember I keep repeating 0 to 1, but that's the whole idea of 0 to 1. Why is Robinhood winning? Because Robinhood is giving you a match that's unmatched by everybody. Robinhood is giving you 3% cash back when you have, say, Chase, for example. If you look at Chase's latest credit card, they've increased the prices and they've halved the benefits in the Chase Sapphire Reserve or whatever, and they got a lot of backlash for that. Well, Robinhood gives you more, and the same could be true for HIMS, right? So how do you create a product that's a no-brainer? Well, maybe for $50 a year, you say get 20% extra across the board on all your meds, and so you secure cross-selling. All of a sudden, you become cheaper than everyone else because you secure the cross-selling, and they're not going to try to go on GoodRx, ED prescription for $19 or $25 a month if they know they have HIMS. Yeah, HIMS is $39 a month, but really with a 20 or 25% off, it's really cheaper because you have a membership over there. If she builds something like that, I think that's going to be a big deal. The key to win in the 21st century, the key to win in the subscription world is to get your people to love you, right? Always remember, and I'm sure Netflix is the same, but always remember that if you ask people, would you recommend Amazon? If you ask Amazon customers, would you recommend Amazon? 97% of the folks say they recommend Amazon to friends and family. That's the Net Promoter Score. That's what you want to get to. You want to get to a situation where people just recommend your product. People are just advocates for your product, and they will just talk about your product to anybody who will hear. And clearly that's the case for Amazon. I don't have Netflix, like I said, so I'm a little biased. But people always make fun of me for not having Netflix, and whenever I meet people, they're like, "Oh, why don't you have Netflix? How could you not have Netflix?" I may be missing out on popular culture because I don't have Netflix. I don't really know. The point is, these products are so good. So 0 to 1, as a reminder, and this is the final reminder. In order to win, in order to become a natural monopoly, a monopoly of skill, you have to give so much back. You have to give so much value back to the customer that it becomes a no-brainer, that the customer rushes to get to you. You have to give so much value back that you have a wait list in order to get in. That's how you become a near monopoly. It's a monopoly due to skill. It's not a monopoly due to monopolistic practices. And monopolistic practices, for example, in the case of GLP-1, just saying, when you rely on patents to charge $1,800 or $1,500 or $1,600 a month until well into the 2030s because you have a patent, and so you withhold the life-saving med, you're not creating love for your company. You're using 20th century monopoly practices, the patent system, and you're not using modern day practices to become a leader. And I'll conclude with this, right? This is the big debate of Google. Google is a monopoly in many things. Is Google a monopoly because of skill, or is Google a monopoly because of dominant position? And of course, I would argue a lot of our Google products, they're a monopoly because of skill, right? Google became a monopoly because it was the better search engine, the best search engine, Microsoft tries to push their search bar in my Windows every day by putting a new image, and I still don't click, and I still use Google. And so that's a monopoly due to skill. And I think this is what's going to happen to a company like 0 to 1. So anyways, lots of tangents in today's video, but I hope you see where I'm coming from with HIMS. So this was not investment advice, not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I hope you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.